Let's have it. I'd like to start by saying I don't feel especially qualified to speak to you today because there are so many people here who have influenced my life spiritually and just helped me growing up and helped me to grow up. And so before I start, I want to thank all of you who have been involved in that, and that's a lot of you here. So, but God has been at work in my life, and I guess that makes me qualified to speak to you today. So, I won't tell you my whole life story, but I want to start 8 years ago when I first moved here. I know it's 8 years ago because in Pennsylvania you have to renew your license every 4 years, and I just did it, so it's 8 years. And I couldn't believe it had been 8 years, especially because when I first moved here, I did not want to be here. I thought it was very rural, and I grew up in a rural area, but like, there's 2 stoplights in town, and town is like 15 minutes away. So I thought I was in the middle of nowhere, and I was just out of college, and I thought, well, God, what do you want me to do? Because I didn't really know in college what I wanted to do. I got a degree, and I was glad I got a degree, but I didn't really have any direction. So I had been praying about it, and I kept praying about it, and eventually I got a job, and then I got another job, and then I got another job, and I was working a lot, but I still didn't really have a direction, and I hadn't really found my calling yet. So finally I decided I was supposed to be a teacher, and a special ed teacher, which a lot of people had told me growing up that I should be a special ed teacher, and I thought, well, I've been doing special ed my whole life, whether I wanted to or not, with my sister, and I thought, that's not what I want to do forever. So I took a break from that and then came back to it and realized that's what I wanted to do. And a few weeks ago, well, maybe a few months ago, we were talking about, we've been working through Acts, and we were talking about Paul and his journeys and his plans, and Pastor Carl asked me to share a testimony. So I read the passage, and in it, Paul has a plan for his journey. And it's a good plan, and he's been praying along, and he's excited about his plan, but it turns out it wasn't God's plan. And I thought, that's so weird that my life is in Paul's journey, because I don't really identify with Paul a lot. We're pretty different, but so that was an interesting thing for me. And it turned out, I thought, okay, here's my plan, this is what God wants. I'm going to get my teaching degree while I'm here, and I have a good job, a good place to live, and a good community here, and then I'm going to go wherever I get a job, and that'll be where I'm supposed to be. Great, and I was really excited about my plan, and I worked hard at school, and I worked hard at my jobs, and I was ready to go. So then, I met a guy, of course, which my mother said she knew would happen because she knows everything. So, but I thought, well, maybe I want to stay. It's hard to get jobs in this area for anybody, but even in education, jobs are kind of hard to find, and a lot of people want to stay around here. And I thought, well, if I have to go, I have to go, and if that's what God wants for me, that's what I'll do. So it turned out I got a wonderful job in Port Allegheny, which is about 20 minutes over that way, and I loved it. I loved going to school every day. I was doing learning support, so I was working with students with disabilities in a high school and other teachers' classrooms, and it was wonderful, and I loved it. And I thought, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is great, and I kind of settled in. And when you settle in, that's how it's going to happen. So then I got a call over the summer, and they said, well, your position has been moved, and we're moving people around, so you're going to teach emotional support in kind of an alternative classroom, still with high schoolers, which I love, but I've never done emotional support before. A lot of my students have behavior issues, they have mental health issues, and counseling is a component of the program I'm doing, and I was scared. And it's in an office building. There's 2 classrooms. And I'm used to working in a school where there's other people for help and support, and I thought, oh, I'm going to be on my own, I don't know what I'm doing, and I was really scared. And I spent a lot of the summer being nervous and scared, and then I thought, I can do this, and God will get me through. Is this one on now? want me to just talk real loud? Oh, let's go. Okay. There's that one. So I started, and it was hard. It was really hard. We had some difficult students, more difficult than had been anticipated, and I felt like a fish out of water, and I thought, I'm doing my first year of teaching all over again. But I'm about 6 weeks in at this point, and I really have to say God has blessed me in my current position, and He's really made it clear to me that this community, this church, and also my position teaching is really where I'm supposed to be, and that there's a lot of work for me to do for God in my community, in this church, and also in my classroom.
Thanks, Emily.
God is in control. I'm going to read from Psalms 135:6. The Lord does whatever pleases Him in the heavens and on the earth, in the seas and in all their depths. My story is a work, association, general conference, general council story, all in 5 to 7 minutes. Ready, Carl? Okay, got it. Going back to June of 2012, the work part was I was under a lot of stress. Things weren't going very well. We had financial issues. Mark understands those things. We had organizational and staffing issues. I was under a lot of stress. And I don't always take a lot of vacation when I'm under a lot of stress. So sometime around then, Melissa and I decided we'd take a vacation anyways and go to a conference. What better place to rest, relax, worship, all those wonderful things. That was probably about June or so. In July, I think it was early July, I got a different phone call from someone who doesn't call me very often, and I don't see her here. Kristen Kandel. Where'd she go? Oh, there's Kristen. She's hiding behind the door. Kristen calls me, and it's a rare phone call from Kristen, so I was surprised and happy to hear from her. But she asked me if I'd be interested or willing to serve for the association, that's the association part, on the nominations committee at conference that year, because Kristen had something that was busy in her life. And I thought about it for at least 2 seconds. I said, well, I got nothing to do at conference this year, why not? And then Pastor Tim called me about a week later as the moderator and officially invited me to do the same thing. So I knew it was confirmed to be on nominations at conference. So I went to conference, and it was in Buchanan in West Virginia. Anybody go to Buchanan before? A few conference goers. And nominations, I was on nominations probably 20 years ago with another association, so I knew what to look for. And it was an enjoyable time of talking about the needs of the conference, picking people, and getting them to volunteer to serve. And it was going well, and then we had to kind of slow down the nominations process, because if those of you that remember have been involved with conference business, that was also the year of the ad hoc. And it's not a disease, it was a change that was required, and we couldn't do anything we couldn't finish the nomination process till that vote was taken. And many of you in your association remember that many of us weren't all in favor of it, and my church personally voted to vote against it for our delegates, and that's what I voted when we voted. We didn't win. Ad hoc was approved. Ad hoc 2 was approved, and so our nominations, the last thing we had to do was pick a general council, which was totally new, totally different organization, and that went along smoothly. We picked the first 4, and then it came down to picking the last 5, and my good friend Dave Davis nominated me to be on general council. And I wasn't too thrilled, because I didn't know what it meant, and I didn't know what the responsibility was, and I tried to talk him out of it. And I tried to talk the committee out of it by saying that if you nominate me, you realize that I'm from the church that said no. So I still got nominated, as you know, and conference went on. What's next in the story? That was general conference. Okay. So nominated to general council, and I guess somewhere in that process, I know I prayed to God that if you're going to make me do this, you're going to have to give me time, because general council takes time, and I figured the last couple of years it takes about 3 or so weeks of my year, and it's not really vacation, but I've enjoyed the work and working on it. And God has blessed, I think, the General Council in the last couple of years as we've done the service. If you get any emails or blogs from Seventh-day Baptist, you know changes are happening and they're coming. In the last 2 years, it's been pretty significant change. 4 of our 7 executives have resigned or retired. We thank Gordon and Andrew. Where's Andrew? He's right by Kristen. Thank you for your service. If anybody sees email or blogs, you know, in the last week we've got a new position that we're interviewing for, and in the next couple weeks there'll be a couple more that are announced as a part of the structure and restructuring. It's been a year of a lot of change. I know every meeting we have, it seems like our new financial person gives us a new budget that we have to look over because the numbers just keep moving. So it's been a moving target, but it's been a real blessing. And it's been a real challenge. God is in control.